In section 3.4, you're going to be using similar triangles. This is the very last section of the chapter. So we're going to take what we learned last chapter with triangles and incorporate it to geometry with what we're doing this quarter, which is all about angles. Here is your key idea. Your key idea is going to cover the angles of similar triangles. Here is what this states. When two triangles in one triangle are congruent to angles of another, the third angles are also congruent, and that means the triangles are similar. So you actually don't need to know anything about the sides as long as you know that two of the angles are similar of one triangle to another. So here is how it would look. Here we have all angles of one triangle congruent to all angles of another. Therefore, we can say that triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. Make note in how I wrote this. This right here is the similar figure, or the symbol for being similar. Example number 1, I want you to jot this down, make sure you write this. Tell whether the triangles are similar. So all you do is look at it. Do they have at least two angles that are the same in both figures? Here we have a 50, here we have a 50, 75 and 75. Therefore, those angles are congruent. The triangles have two pairs of congruent angles. So, the third angles are congruent, which means, yes, these are similar. Example number 2. Are these similar? 54, nope, there's no 54. Here's a 63, 63. There's only one set of angles that are similar. And this is where you have to be careful. Because look at what we have here. It only looks like a set of the 63s are the same. But let's find that third angle. Because, you know what? Maybe they're the same. So, here we go. 180 minus 54 plus 63. 54 plus 63 is 117. If we subtract, you're going to get 63. So this angle right here is 63. Which means I have an angle here and an angle here congruent to both of these. That means that I have two sets of congruent angles. So yes, they are congruent. So just because the two that they give you are not congruent does not mean you actually have to do some work and you have to prove to me maybe those third angles would also be the same. So you got to be careful with problems like number 2. Example number 3. Are these triangles similar? Well, we do have a right angle and another right angle. So let's see what the missing values are. So if we take x plus 90, now I'm going to do this one as an equation, plus 42 equals 180. 90 plus 42 is 132 equals 180. Whoops, that should be a plus here. Subtract 132, and that gives me 48 degrees. Nope, this one's 38, so that won't work. We only have one set of angles that are congruent, therefore no, those two triangles are not similar. I want you to pause the video and do number 4 on your own. Now if you did it correctly, yes, these are similar because you have to find the missing angle. So we add 66 and 90 and subtract that from 180. So 180 minus the sum of 90 and 66. 180 minus 156 gives you 24. So this angle here is 24. Right off the bat, we know that 66. We know this one is going to be 66. But 24 and 24, we know those. 90 and 90, we know those. So we already have two sets of angles that are congruent, and so that's why, yes, these triangles are congruent. Here is example 5. This is in page 129 in your book. So if you would like to just write down page 129 and I do want you to draw the graph or draw the picture, but you don't have to write this whole problem down if you don't want to. You plan to cross a river and you want to know how far it is to the other side. You take measurements of the side of the river and make the drawing shown. A. Explain why triangle ABC and triangle DEC are similar. What is the distance x across the river? So we're going to look at A first. Now, this is where you gotta really think about this. You do not know that these are similar based on the sides. You're missing this side right here. If you have this side, you could write a proportion. For example, 40 over 50 equals something over 60. But we don't know what that x is, so you can't say they're similar based on the sides. So you have to find two angles in one triangle and two angles in another that are similar. I'll be impressed if you can get this. So I'm going to give you the first one. Look at these two angles. We know that the 90-degree angle here and the 90-degree angle here are the same. But we need one more set of angles that are the same. Where are they? They're right here. What do you know about these kind of angles? This angle and this angle are vertical. We don't have to know what the angle measures are, but we do know they're equal. So because the right angles are equal, and because we have vertical angles that are equal, we know that yes, these are similar. Now you have to tell me why. Why are they similar? Because you have two angles that are congruent from one triangle that are congruent to the other. Therefore, you know the third angles are also congruent. That's what you need to learn from this. When you have two sets of angles that are congruent, the third angle is also congruent. Therefore, the triangles are similar. Part B asks us to find the distance across the river. Well, the distance is x, so now we just have to write our proportion. So we could write x over what side does x correspond to? It corresponds to 60 equals, go back to your smaller triangle, 40 over 50. Cross multiply. 50x equals 2400 divided by 50. X equals 48. So what is the distance? The distance across the river is 48 miles.